Hello, YouTube. Luigi here. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, November the 18th. I'm always amazed at how many creative things I can get done while the rest of the world is asleep. And I'm going to try this video. I am drinking coffee out of my Homer Laughlin Fiestaware mug. I always preheat my mugs in the microwave with water before I put the coffee in it. Otherwise, these cups are so massive. They take all the heat out of the coffee, and I like my coffee hot. I'm drinking Pure Roast, Hawaiian, I think it's Hawaiian, organic low acid coffee because I don't need the acid. I'm drinking it black because I don't need the cream, but boy, I like cream. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? Today I'm going to talk about, wow, one of my favorite subjects, how great the American people are. What an amazing, industrious people are. What we are able to accomplish when we as a nation put our collective shoulders to the wheel and decide we are going to get something done. And I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 accomplishments and then relate it to something we neglected to get done, in spite of how capable of people we really are. I don't know how many people know this, but the French started building the Panama Canal. And they had this really stupid idea of digging a sea level canal from shore to shore. People think it runs east to west. The truth is the canal runs north to south because that's the direction that the isthmus runs. It's the isthmus that runs east to west, and the canal runs north to south. They were going to dig a sea level canal, one straight elevation through the country, in spite of how high the Midlands got. If they stuck to that plan, if we didn't come in and take it over and just get it done, they would still be digging today. I swear, it was just such an idiotic plan. So they finally realized the futility of it. We go down there and our engineers survey the nation and they go, we're better off following the contours of the land, raising the ships with locks, and then lowering them back down to the opposite ocean. And that's exactly what we did. After we conquered malaria, figured out what its source was, and largely eradicated it. It was a scourge before we got there. They needed water to fill these locks. Where were they going to get water? Well, this is a rainforest country, and it's full of lakes, and they would just gravity feed the water down to the locks. There was more water there than they could ever use. It was a brilliant idea. Panama Canal bailed out the French. Actually, didn't bail out. We took it over and got it done. Hoover Dam, boy. Hoover Dam, this is no small accomplishment. That thing's over 600 feet tall. It's what they call a gravity dam, gravity arch dam. It's got to be like one of the 8 wonders of the modern world. It's still done out in the desert during the Depression. 20,000 workers. They got a roof over their head. Schools were built for their children. They ate in cafeterias, and they ate well. And it was, boy, if you had a job like that in the Depression, you were a fortunate man, and you worked your tail off, too. You really did. An amazing accomplishment, Hoover Dam, except I'm old enough to remember it being called Boulder Dam. Wow. Hoover Dam was built under budget and under schedule. They just got it done, man. The Empire State Building, again, a Depression project. During the Depression, men needed to work, and they worked hard. Now, there weren't a lot of OSHAs and unions, and, they would work into the ground if they could, and they did, and they got it done. I forget his name, but the guy in charge of the construction was a military logistician. He understood logistics. And they say the steel would arrive down the Erie Canal from Pennsylvania still warm. This is how they wasted no time, man. And they built that in less than a year. once the foundation was done. That thing rose out of the sky, rose up to the sky in less than a year. How long does it take us to build a 100-story building today? You think of that. The Empire State Building. Wow. The atom bomb. We cracked the atom under the pressure of a 2-theater world war. Pretty amazing. Under strict secrecy. We got it done. We beat the Germans till we knew they were working on it. Wow. Good old Americans. We got it done. And then there's the moonshot. Landing on the moon within a decade of its announcement by President Kennedy. That's as high-tech as I'm going to get with these projects, is the moonshot. I'm not going to talk about all the incredible things. I'm not going to talk about gene splicing. I'm not going to talk about, nanotechnologies, anything to do with high-speed silicone processor chips. They say when Apollo 13 got stranded, they called in their best trajectory guy. And with a pencil and a paper and a slide rule, he solved the problem. We should not be so quick to dismiss olden technologies that even olden ancient cultures had. They had good stuff. So, let's jump ahead now. It is October of 1973. Wow. See, I'm old enough to remember that. What happens in October of 1973? Well, them Arabs, they slap us with an oil embargo. Why? It wasn't just us, but why? They needed to punish every nation who supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War. And punish they did. They had us by the throats, boy. They really did. This embargo lasted until March of 74. So from October to March. It wasn't a real long time, but it was enough to shake us up, and it should have given us a huge wake-up call. A huge wake-up call. So what do we get from Washington? Except for one administration, what do we really get from Washington after all these years? A lot of lip service about conserving oil, relying less on imported oil, blah, blah, blah. There was one president who took it seriously, very seriously. Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, this peanut farmer from Plains, Georgia. Outside the Beltway, way outside the Beltway. He was a governor. And we've seen a lot of governors get elected. Clinton, Reagan, right? They're administrators. Well, Carter gets in there and he puts on a cardigan sweater to address the nation during his fireside chats. He's got the White House thermostat down to 68, and he tells the entire nation, this is how hot you can heat your houses. He institutes a national speed limit of 55 miles an hour, not to exceed 55 miles an hour. And, we engineer our interstates for 80 miles an hour, put speed limits on them of 70, because people are going to drive 80 anyway, but he's cut that down to 55. What else did he do? He put solar panels on the White House roof. He took it seriously. Looking at my notes here, in February of 77, he addressed the nation and instituted all these practices as what he called mandatory conservation. He called this effort, this united effort by a united people, he called this effort the moral equivalent of war. The moral equivalent of war. And he meant a real war, like World War II, where the whole nation got behind it, and the whole nation put up with beef rationing, and the whole nation put up with gas rationing, and the whole nation collected its aluminum and donated it to the airline industry so we could build bombers and bring Germany to its knees. And the whole nation gladly offered up its mothers and wives to the airplane factory so they could weld and rivet bombers together. This was a national effort Today we go to war, and everything is subcontracted out. We don't know, even feel that we're at war. We don't even know it. But in World War II, man, the whole country knew it. We just subcontract everything out. Hey, we're at war again? Which unpronounceable country are we bombing this time? They must have oil, because that's what we have to do, is protect the empire's oil supply. And if you don't think we're an empire, just consider this. We have over 800 offshore bases, military bases. China has 0. We have 800. So yes, this extension of power, we fit just about every definition of an empire. So we need to secure the empire's oil supply. All right, after Carter, we get Ronald Reagan. Yay! Everybody likes Reagan. He's popular. What does Reagan do? First thing. What does Reagan do? First thing, he rips out the solar panels off the roof of the White House. That's brilliant, Ronnie. Here we are, just barely coming off an oil embargo, where we should be conserving. And rather than take advantage of free energy from the sun on a system that's already bought, paid for, installed, and working, what do, Ronnie? You rip it off the roof. That's brilliant. What does that say to the nation? Burn all the oil you want? What kind of message does that send? What kind of example from the top is that? You ripped it off the roof. I wonder if Trump would do that today in a similar situation. You know. Okay, here's the point. After the Panama Canal and the Hoover Dam and the Empire State Building and the atomic bomb and the moonshot, we have had 45 years to wean ourselves off of oil. We, this great nation that can do anything we put our minds to, could have solved this, should have solved this, if we had the leadership in Washington on this issue, and if the leadership and the legislature wasn't in the slimy pockets of the slimy fossil fuel industry. We could have accomplished this easily. And let me tell you something, if America had taken the lead on this issue, other nations would have gladly followed us into this. And I'm daring to project this. We may not have had a planet in peril, a climate in crisis that we do today. And this is going to bite every single one of us. Every single one of us. You know, half the world is on fire and the other half is flooding. Seacoast towns are threatened. Growing seasons are changing. Migratory patterns of animals are changing. Sea life is dying. That's another thing we should do another video on. Why so many fish kills all over the planet. Okay? The Panama Canal, the Hoover Dam, the Empire State Building, the atomic bomb, and the moonshot. These were cakewalks. For us, we're Americans. We can do it, boy. We can do it. And we could have solved this energy thing. You know, for a very short time, I had a real job. And during that period, the OPEC had announced another price increase in oil. And this was during the severe recession of, say, 2008. And the boss made a comment like, you know, they're killing us. I said, no, Gordon. They're doing us a favor. The answer isn't more cheap oil. The answer is getting the hell away from oil. Completely. Completely. This isn't bad news, it's good news. All right. Where's the outrage? Where was the leadership? Carter did more than anybody. He didn't rip any solar panels off a roof. What was that about? And yet that guy is so popular, Ronald Reagan. I'll never understand it. All right. That's it. When I say we're a wonderful people, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Sometimes our government is not as wonderful as the people it pretends to represent are. Think of that. Okay, everybody. God bless you. I love you all. Stay safe out there. Bye bye.